This is the moment that Destiny 2 jumped the shark. Jumping the shark is a term often referenced when a show, movie, or game goes too far. It dates back to Happy Days where the Fonz, played by Henry Winkler, jumped over a shark to try and get fans to tune in. Jump the shark means events are included merely for the sake of novelty, indicative of a decline in quality. Think back to where you were in 2019. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and Resident Evil 2 were pushing gaming forward in leaps of game design and what remakes were capable of, while Fortnite was dominating with an annual revenue of close to 4 billion V-Bucks. All the while, Thanos was throwing it back for people to buy skins. Fortnite might as well have been jumping megalodons, and its seasonal model was spreading like wildfire. Bungie had heroically split from the villainous Activision, following one of the most creative events with a community-splitting end in Niobe Labs in 2019. While everything seemed great, losing 2 studios and nearly infinite funding would have some major repercussions.
Things over the past few weeks, I guess, have been kind of discouraging.
Destiny 2 is dying.
Year or so, it's no secret that the game has been on a pretty steep decline in terms of quality.
Every time I boot it up, I kind of dread playing it.
At the release of Shadowkeep, the rose tint was strong leading in. The moon was back from Destiny 1, but as a primary destination instead of an addition. The game was hit with a dissertation-long amount of changes coming from Luke Smith's director's cut. This was about the sandbox and core of the grind, but the biggest blow was found within the seasonal model. Normally, Bungie would have the benefit of relying on High Moon Studios and Vicarious Visions for seasonal work, but without them, Bungie was left to deliver their very first season in the yearly cycle, all on their own. It didn't go well, and its finale was the nail in the coffin. Like all great sharp things, you're bound to cut yourself if you're not prepared. If only Bungie could have thought about Manscaped, Manscaped 4.0 shaver.
This video is brought to you by Manscaped. Scaped man. This video is brought to you by Manscaped, the only place your balls can really trust. Now let's talk about how my balls were saved with the Lawnmower 4.0. Manscaped's 4th generation electric trimmer will not only save your balls, it'll save your marriage. Nah, I'm just kidding, it won't do that. Manscaped's 4th generation trimmer comes with a 4K precise LED light that will make sure you get the very precise shave. Cause let's be real, you and I both know you're gonna need that. Although your balls might look like punching bags, they aren't, so make sure you treat them to a nice spa day. Because this trimmer is waterproof, you can even take it in the shower with you and make sure you get all the nice spots. I was actually using the 3.0 before this, but now that the 4.0 is here, sounds like my balls are gonna have the best day of their life. You wanna go to Manscaped today and get 20% off, plus international shipping, using promo code EvanF20 at checkout. All right, cool. Thanks, Manscaped. I'm gonna froth up my balls now.
Code EvanF20 at checkout. Even clicking the link helps me out a ton. Thank you so much to Manscaped for sponsoring this video, and enjoy the rest of the video. For you to truly grasp why this season was the worst received jump the shark moment, you need to understand the context. 2015 was a dominant year for Destiny. After the release of The Taken King, Bungie, with the help of High Moon Studios, thought it a good idea to add depth to the loot pool of activities. Normally, this consisted of 3 of coins for exotics, and then a random chance while chasing exotics in the strikes to get legendaries specific to the strike in rotation. This would lead into a cycle of playing the strikes, hoping for a god roll weapon or armor piece, while still having the other enjoyment stemming from exotics in the general loot pool. Back then, this was considered the core loop for Destiny, and it's never spoken about enough how happy players were with these changes.
I think I got it. Yes! 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 Oh my god! Oh my god! I got a Fatebringer! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh! I'm on the loop! 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 Oh my gosh!
Bungie was filling in the gaps on what people wanted. The best possible PvP pulse rifle dropped from Omnigul. The best looking gauntlets for Titan dropped from the Bond Brothers Strike. The best Warlock helmet dropped from Saber 2. And, well, you get the point. Every single strike, new and old, had something to grind for. This brings me to a term that you're all too familiar with if you know Destiny: sunsetting. After Fatebringer was dominating with an arc primary hand cannon with Outlaw, Firefly, and explosive rounds, nobody would pick up anything else unless Bungie hit the reset button on the gun. So they did just that.
It was all with the same name as me. What?
Doctor!
In comes the Undying Minds refresh loot, the Imago Loop. Bungie needed to keep fans interested in the power fantasy, so they did just that. Imago Loop was the exact same gun, and outside of the arc burn on the gun, Imago Loop allowed for other perks to shine. Outlaw was no doubt the best of the best for its slot, but Firefly could instead become Luck in the Chamber or Hidden Hand, or the point is that people raved about it, and the Imago Loop would become a treat for the masses. Now we fast forward back to Shadowkeep, as the trend of strike-specific loot was being kept alive through both years of Destiny. Shadowkeep released with 2 strikes, one featured in the campaign and the other that would only be in the game for just a year in total. Shadowkeep was received with mixed reviews at launch. The campaign was a mess of a small handful of missions bundled together with the Scarlet Keep strike and repeat activities, and this other repeat activity that were just previous strikes in Destiny 1, now called Nightmare Hunts on the Moon. With the finale of a teaser of pyramid ships, there was at least some interest, but when the raid was also another tease, players started convincing themselves to dig deeper, and you can't really blame them. The previous year, Forsaken had the campaign in a similar sized way on the tangled shore of the reef, but after you beat the campaign, you were propelled into a quest to reach the final endgame, a whole separate and beautiful dreaming city. Fans went looking into lore books to try to find something with Shadowkeep, and this talked about a certain power level. One went in to see if it was part 2 of the Dreaming City's story, with the information from the lore book to search for the Shattered Throne at power level 999. And it wasn't. Accompanying the release of a fan service destination with very little noticeable changes were now previous strikes turned nightmare hunts with no former strike-specific loot to chase inside of them. On top of that pile of foreshadowkeeping, the Eververse featured ghost shells and other items that looked a lot like the Scarlet Keep and Festering Core strikes. At least Eververse was nice enough to let the Garden of Salvation raid armor be the exact same raid armor as Curse of Osiris. Just cover it in moss and Vextech. To top all of this off was the worst received season in Destiny 2 at the time, Season of the Undying. Vex Offensive is the appropriate name for this activity. After Bungie struck gold with the Menagerie, the first 6-player non-raid or PvP activity, Vex Dog was meant to be something similar. Now the loot was not all that desirable, and worse than that, these were mediocre reskins of Curse of Osiris weapons. What made Imago Loop work so well was the variance and expansion of a gun like Fatebringer, customizing your own roles with RNG, and hoping for the best while hunting exotics in the background. Shadowkeep's response was giving players worse versions of the loot they already had. And with no sunsetting to happen yet, things like Mountaintop and Recluse were obviously going to win. No amount of moss on the guns were going to save these, especially when the activity itself was forgettable at best. Speaking of these exotics, they were now a part of Armor 2.0, a system still around today that prioritizes the role of stats on your exotics over making sure exotic armor stays rare. It gave a place to farm it, but it has killed the desire to cherish it. The Crucible would receive 1 map, and some minor changes to the loot pool, including some Iron Banner armor. But for a year that was quoted as a renewed focus on PvP, this is all you'd get. On top of a free-to-play model, which at the time was actually pretty good, giving people 3 full campaigns to play with the raids and activities inside of them, but a really bad season pass model that was definitely ripped from Fortnite, the nail in the coffin, an ultimate jump the shark moment came in a blaze at the finale of Season of the Undying. After all of this, there was still a glimmer of hope lying in the Vex offensive final assault. Ikora was building a giant portal that was said to take players back to the Black Garden and foil the plans of the Undying Mind in every possible timeline. This could have set us up perfectly for that Imago Loop again. Every timeline means multiple chances to farm and multiple opportunities to see the glorious weapon return. Fatebringer wasn't in Destiny 2 for almost another year and a half, so having Imago Loop before Fatebringer's return would be all fitting. It didn't go that way.
Great work, Guardian. That's one Undying Mind down. But there's still a great many more left to go. Fortunately for us, we're not alone in this fight.
It didn't return, and instead the Undying Mind coming back was nothing more than fan service, an excuse to have a throwaway boss that served no purpose other than to have a sunsettable finale. This is, in my opinion, the moment that Destiny jumped the shark. Before, the game had ebbs and flows, but stuck to not relying on cheap fan service to keep you interested in the novelty. Looking back, we all gave the pass to Bungie on this since it was their first time on their own. But little did we know, this type of season and misdirection of what players wanted wasn't due to lack of funding, but an intended new style for the game. They missed on the PvP, exotics, storytelling, loot, everything seemed to go wrong. Now, I hope you guys understand. Thanks so much for watching this video, and make sure that you check out Manscaped, please. It helps me a lot, even if you just, click the link. I'm in the Clean Balls Club, even though it's like 100 degrees in Texas right now. So, yeah. Thank you, guys. I don't know why you're still watching. Goodbye!